"This seat's for close family," my cousin Dylan muttered as he shoved past me. "I lost it." "Then let your real family handle the damn $4,700 bill," I snapped before walking out and leaving them to deal with the disaster they'd made. Even as a kid, I always knew my relatives never truly valued me. I was the odd one out, the quiet kid who didn't quite fit their mold. While they boasted about their wild weekends and designer clothes, I was buried in books, grinding through jobs, and planning my escape. I never cared to win their approval, especially not from that loud, selfish crowd who thought the world revolved around them. But life threw a curveball and I made something of myself. I carved my own lane, worked like hell, and earned more than any of them ever dreamed of. Of course, none of them ever admitted that. They played it cool, pretending not to notice until there was something they could gain. Which leads us to tonight. Truth is, I hadn't planned on ever seeing them again. I'd skipped out on these family gatherings for years. They always felt fake, forced laughs, cold glances, and that same unspoken message: no matter what I achieved, I'd always be that weird one. But my mom, bless her heart, begged me this time. "Just one dinner, Ethan. It's been so long." And against my better judgment, I said yes. The regret hit me the second I walked into that overpriced steakhouse. They were all already there, parked around this long, fancy table, laughing loud enough to be heard across the room, like some scene from a sitcom. Dylan, my childhood tormentor, sat dead center, grinning like he owned the place. When he spotted me, his smirk stretched even wider. "Well, look who finally showed up," Dylan called out, leaning back and making sure everyone heard. "Didn't think you remembered us, big guy?" I forced a tight smile and headed for a seat way down at the end of the table. Dylan raised his eyebrows. "Nah, Ethan. Someone's already got that one." I glanced around. The only open chairs were near Dylan or his equally smug sister, Alyssa. I moved to grab a seat, but Alyssa rolled her eyes. "That one's taken too," she said with a sigh. I stared at her, stunned. "You've got to be kidding me." Dylan let out a low laugh, leaned in, and said, "Ethan, this table's for close family. Find a spot elsewhere." A few people laughed under their breath. Not everyone, but enough to make my jaw tighten. Mom looked uneasy but stayed silent. My aunt gave this satisfied little smile. My uncle just shook his head like I was some kind of nuisance. And Dylan? He looked smug as hell. I could have walked away. Honestly, I probably should have. But instead I smirked. "Somewhere else, huh?" "All right, I'll stick around," I said casually. I grabbed a chair from a nearby table and pulled it just outside their little royal circle. Technically still at the dinner, but clearly not part of their club. A waiter hesitated before coming over, unsure what to do. I waved him off. "Just a coffee." Dylan and Alyssa exchanged a look but didn't say anything. Not yet anyway. But the real reason they invited me started becoming obvious. I wasn't here for bonding, I was the audience. They wanted someone to show off for. All through dinner, they tried to flex like they were living large. "I'll take the Wagyu," Dylan said, snapping his menu shut with flair. "And the lobster. Drinks for everyone." He glanced at me with a smirk. "Big night, right?" Alyssa chimed in, "We deserve to indulge." "Yeah, order all the fancy desserts," my uncle tossed in. Plates kept coming, drinks flowed, and the bill grew by the minute. I stayed quiet, slowly sipping my coffee, just watching, calm and collected. When the feast was over and everyone leaned back, full and glowing with pride, the server came over and dropped the bill. $2,185.50. And he placed it right in front of me. Dylan stretched, then asked, "You've got this, right, Ethan?" Alyssa let out a laugh. "Come on, that's nothing for you." The table went quiet. Every eye locked on me, waiting to see how I'd respond. I let the silence hang in the air before casually picking up the check and glancing at the number like it meant something. A soft laugh escaped me. Dylan's eyes narrowed. "What's so funny?" I leaned back, took another sip of coffee, and smiled. "Oh," I said. "You really don't know who's picking up the tab tonight." I gently set the check back down, right in front of Dylan. He stared at it like it was written in another language. I sat back, perfectly relaxed, as the confusion rippled around the table like wildfire. "Wait, you're serious?" Dylan's voice dropped, a bit of panic creeping in. His cocky grin faltered. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I took another drink, watching his expression shift from confused to realizing to cold frustration. Alyssa caught on and gave him a quick nudge. "Isn't your business doing well, Ethan?" she asked sweetly, but there was bite beneath her tone. "One dinner like this shouldn't hurt," she added. There it was. That assumption. Because I'd found success, they figured I owed them something. They didn't think about the years I worked late, lived cheap, or fought to make ends meet. They only saw what they could squeeze out of me. But this wasn't about money. It was about how they treated me like trash, yet expected to benefit from the life I bled to build. Dylan spoke again, a little more desperate this time, his grin stiff. Come on, Ethan. You're good for it. He looked from the server to me, giving me one last out. Yeah, it's a big bill, but you're doing great, right? Just swipe the card and call it a night. For the first time all evening, my mom shifted nervously in her seat. Ethan, sweetheart, my mom said gently, her voice barely above a whisper. It's just dinner. They're family. She gave me a tired smile, but even she didn't sound convinced. She'd always been the one trying to keep the peace, never picking sides, just smoothing things over. But I could tell this time was different. There was a heaviness in her tone, in her eyes. She knew what was happening. She knew I was being used. Still, she didn't want to speak out loud. I set my coffee cup down with care, then glanced around the table at every face looking my way. My uncle, his belly pressing into the edge of the table, leaned forward with a grunt. His tone was rough, full of irritation. Ethan, whatever this little act is, knock it off. We all know you're doing well financially. Stop being dramatic. Pay the bill so we can go. That wasn't a request, it was a flat-out demand. Blunt. Cold. A few others nodded. Some smirked. Most just waited, clearly expecting me to cave in. They were counting on me to fold, like always, to keep things smooth by covering the damage. But not this time. Not after everything they'd done. Not after a lifetime of being the outcast, the one they mocked, dismissed, or only reached out to when they needed something. And honestly, watching their unease grow was almost entertaining. They had no clue what I had planned. I gave a small grin. Nothing dramatic. Just a quiet, calm smile. The kind that says, you're not ready. Sure, I said evenly. I'll take care of it. A collective breath of relief swept through the group. A few even clapped me on the back like I just swooped in to save the night. Dylan perked up, flashing that phony charm again. See? That wasn't so bad, he said with a cheesy salute. Appreciate it, big guy. I leaned in slightly, still smiling. Actually, I said, I changed my mind. You all can handle it. Good luck with that. It was like someone cut the sound in the room. Total silence. No one budged. No one said a thing. Dylan's expression dropped like a stone. That confidence he wore like a badge? Gone. He opened his mouth to protest, but I was already standing and sliding on my jacket. I wasn't planning to leave just yet, I wanted them to sit in that silence. To stew in it. Just so we're clear, I said, voice low but steady, if you don't want to deal with a bill like this again, maybe be smarter about what you order next time. Dylan's eyes widened, caught completely off guard. The smug cousin who used to push me around? He was gone. Now he looked unsure. His jaw clenched. He glanced nervously around the table, searching for someone else to jump in. He really thought I'd take the hit, just like always. But not this time. This time I was the one calling the shots. I turned and walked away slowly, knowing exactly what was about to unfold because I'd already seen it coming. The server was still nearby, glancing around, waiting to see who would step up. Then I heard Dylan call out behind me. Hey! His voice cracked with urgency. You can't just. I cut him off without looking back. I'll be over there, I said calmly, pointing toward the lounge chairs in the corner, away from the main floor. Let me know when you've figured it out. And I kept walking. The tension hanging in the air behind me was thick enough to choke on. They weren't used to this version of me. They were used to guilt-tripping me into compliance, playing on old family strings to get what they wanted. But that guy? He was gone. All their spoiled entitlement, the way they believed I owed them something tonight, that was getting rewritten. I eased into a soft chair and turned to watch them from a distance. Dylan stood there tugging at his collar, whispering frantically to Alyssa and my mom. I couldn't catch every word, but I heard enough. Ethan's not paying. He's serious. He'll cover it, right? Don't upset him. We need him to handle this. Do we even have enough between us? They were scrambling, not to take responsibility, but to find a way out without dipping into their own pockets. Reality was hitting them hard. They were finally realizing I wasn't going to save them this time. Minutes dragged by. I scrolled through my phone like I didn't have a care in the world. But I kept glancing over, catching glimpses of their growing panic. The waiter hovered, clearly losing patience, probably judging every second they stalled. They had no plan. They had no backup. Eventually, Dylan made his way over to me. He looked wrecked, like he'd just come through a fire. His face was tight, jaw clenched, eyes filled with a strange mix of anger and desperation. I stayed seated, took my sweet time before looking up. Something wrong? I asked, voice calm as ever. He blew out a breath, trying to stay level. Ethan, come on. This isn't funny. The bill's way higher than we thought. Can you just help us out this one time? Please. We're family. I let out a short laugh, shaking my head slightly. I'm not joking, Dylan. You all ordered everything you wanted without a word to me. You never asked, never checked. And now I'm supposed to cover all of it? The wine, the steaks, the lobster. He looked uncomfortable, lips pressed tight as he swallowed hard. We didn't think it'd get this out of hand. It's just dinner. Can't you just, help? I leaned back in the chair and let that hang there. Same old tune, different night. Still no accountability. Still no apology. They didn't care about me, just about the money they assumed I'd cough up. I'm done, I said plainly. You're grown adults. Pay for your own stuff. I'm not your bank account. I'm not your backup plan. And I sure as hell don't owe you anything. Dylan's face shifted again. The fake guilt disappeared, replaced by anger. His expression hardened, eyes narrowing. You're really gonna stick us with the whole bill? He spat. After everything we've done for you? All the support we gave you. I stared him down, cool as ice. You mean those times you expected me to foot the bill while you sat back acting like I should be grateful? That's not support, Dylan. Just behind him, I saw Alyssa and my mom watching everything unfold, looking more uneasy with every second. They could feel the control slipping out of their hands. Alyssa, especially, I could tell she was already scheming, probably trying to find a way to spin it all back on me. But Mom, she just looked scared, more than I'd ever seen her before. She knew things had gone too far. Suddenly, Alyssa blurted out, her voice a little too high-pitched. We can't just leave. We're not really walking out on a $4,700 bill, are we? That's insane. I raised an eyebrow at her. No one's running off, Alyssa, I said coolly. All of you are staying put and paying what's owed. I'm done pretending like everything's okay. Being family doesn't give you a pass. You've been leaning on me for years, and I'm finally done playing along. Dylan's face went beet red, his frustration bubbling over. You've got to be kidding me. You're seriously leaving us like this? Now we're stuck with it all. I cut him off, calm but firm. I'm stuck with it? I asked with just enough edge in my voice. I wasn't the one ordering half the menu. You all made your choices. Now it's on you to deal with the outcome. Alyssa looked ready to jump in again, but Mom beat her to it. Her voice shook. Ethan, please. Not now. We're your family. Just this once. Please help. You have the money. Her words hit me like a cold wind. Not because they surprised me, but because of how expected they were. Of course they knew I had the money. That was the problem. They saw my success and skipped the part about how hard it was to get here. To them, it wasn't effort. It was a resource, a free ride. I stood up slowly, tugged my jacket into place, and looked right at her. No, Mom, I won't help. Dylan can. Alyssa can. Every single one of you can. But I'm not fixing your mess this time. I turned to the waiter who had been lingering nearby, clearly listening in the whole time. I gave him a small nod, the quiet signal that I was done here. Then I turned toward the doors and walked out, not once looking back. The second I hit the night air, I heard them behind me. Quiet voices, fast whispers. But I didn't stop. I just kept walking. Slower now, as the sound of hurried footsteps came after me. But I didn't turn around. They made their choices. Now they could live with the consequences. I reached the parking lot and paused beside my car, slipping my hands into my coat pockets. I just stood there for a moment, breathing in the quiet. Then I heard the sharp click of heels behind me. Alyssa. Ethan, wait, she called. But I stayed facing forward. My heartbeat was calm. My mind was clear. But I could hear the desperation in her voice. She was trying to drag me back into the same tired cycle I'd finally stepped out of. Ethan, she said again, her voice cracking now. You can't just leave us like this. This is serious. I turned fast, stopping her in her tracks. You think I don't know what serious looks like, Alyssa? You think I don't see exactly what you're trying to do? She froze mid-step, clearly shocked. The wind picked up a bit, rustling through the trees, filling the silence between us. She tried to find words, but I didn't give her the space. Every time something goes wrong, it's always, Ethan will take care of it. Not once has anyone asked how I'm doing. what I need, what I want. It's always been about what I can give. I'm done with that. Her expression faltered for a moment, guilt flickered across her face, but she quickly masked it with anger. You can't just walk away from us, she snapped. Her voice was sharper now. We're counting on you. You can't abandon your own family just because things got hard. I clenched my jaw but didn't raise my voice. I'm not abandoning anyone, Alyssa, I said, steady as ever. I'm walking away from people who've spent years treating me like their safety net. This was never about love. It was about control. And I'm done letting you hold me like a credit card you didn't earn. She stood there frozen, red-faced, mouth half open, unsure how to respond. But before she could say another word, the restaurant doors burst open and out came Dylan and Mom. Dylan looked wrecked, shirt half untucked, eyes wild. Mom's face was a swirl of fear and shame. Her eyes locked on mine immediately. Ethan, please, she begged, voice breaking. We don't know what to do. We can't pay. You're the only one who can help. Her words hit me, but not in the way she hoped. Instead of guilt, I felt peace. Like a weight I'd carried my whole life was finally slipping off my shoulders. They'd leaned on me forever, always expecting me to bend. But now they were seeing it, everything comes at a cost. You really think I'm going to step in again? I said, voice calm but firm. You think this is just about money? It's not. This is about dignity. About you finally realizing that what I have wasn't handed to me, I fought for it. I earned it. And no, you don't get to keep dipping into my life just because yours feels hard. Dylan stepped closer, palms slightly up, pleading. Don't do this, Ethan, he said, sounding more like a child than a grown man. We're family. Try to understand. This isn't just the cost, it's... Stop, I cut in, voice sharper this time. Dylan, for you, it's always about the cost. The second you thought I'd foot the bill, I stopped being your brother. I became your personal ATM. His face contorted like he wanted to respond, like he was digging for something to say, but nothing came out. He just stood there, stunned, realizing this wasn't going the way it always had. I turned to Mom next. She looked completely shaken, eyes darting between me and the entrance like she was silently begging me to come back, to fix it all again. But I wasn't going to. Not anymore. You created this mess, I said, my voice low and final. Now it's yours to clean up. Then I turned and walked away. I was finished. Before they could say another word, I opened my car door, slid into the seat, and started the engine. The soft hum of the motor filled the space between us like a full stop. I glanced up at the rearview mirror. They were still frozen in place, standing there like statues. Not one of them moved. And me? I didn't feel bad. Not even a little. They had their chances, more than enough. They chose to push, and now they could sit with the fallout. As I pulled away from the lot, something unexpected hit me. Freedom. Real, honest freedom. For once, I wasn't the one carrying everyone else's baggage. I wasn't the one footing the bill for people who only remembered me when the check showed up. As the restaurant shrank in the mirror, I realized something. This was what I should have done a long time ago. They'd crossed the line too many times. And now they were finally going to face what came next. Not 5 minutes passed before my phone started buzzing. I let it ring. Didn't answer. Let them call. Let them text. I was done playing the role of the fixer. But they kept going. By the time I walked through my front door, I had 6 missed calls from Mom, 4 from Dylan, and a message from Alyssa. Ethan, we're really sorry. Please come back. We'll pay you back. Don't leave us like this. I stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. But I didn't type a single word. Because deep down I knew they still didn't get it. They had no idea just how badly they'd crossed the line. I tossed my phone onto the couch, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and sank into the chair. My apartment was quiet, almost too quiet. But it was a good kind of quiet. Just the hum of the fridge, the occasional car outside, and my own breathing. No chaos. No guilt. No drama. The silence was better than anything I left behind at that steakhouse. After a few minutes, something else settled in. Peace. Not about the money. It had never really been about the money. It was about finally standing up. About drawing a line and not letting it get erased. For the first time in a long time, I protected me. Then the phone buzzed again. Another message from Alyssa, this one short, raw, and desperate. We can't pay the bill. It's $4,700. Please help. I stared at the message. Just stared. $4,700. The same number they tossed around like pocket change earlier when they thought I'd be the one footing it. Now it had weight. Now it meant something. Funny how that works. I took another slow sip of my beer, leaned back, and waited because I knew what was coming. Sure enough, a few minutes later, the phone rang again. Dylan. This time I picked up. Ethan, he said the second I answered. His voice was tight. Panicked. On edge. Okay, we get it. You're pissed. But we need help. We can't pay this. You're the only one who can fix it. There it was, that desperation. You could feel it pouring through the speaker. I almost laughed. Almost. But instead, I kept my tone steady. I already told you, I said. This isn't my mess. You made it. You fix it. Dylan's voice jumped a few notches. But Ethan, come on. This is family. His voice cracked, growing louder, more frantic. You're really just gonna abandon us like this? After everything we've been through together? I blinked. All we've been through? I repeated slowly. You mean all the times you treated me like an ATM with a face? All the guilt trips? All the pressure to show up, pay up, and shut up? That's what you're calling family? He didn't answer. Just silence. A long breath. And then a weak attempt to walk it back. That's not how I meant it, Ethan. Come on, we're not trying to use you. We just need a little help. Help? I said, sharper now. Dylan, what I've been doing for years, that wasn't help. That was enabling you. That was making it easy for you to never grow up. You're not kids anymore. And if I keep rescuing you every time something goes wrong, you'll never figure out how to stand on your own. The silence that followed was heavier than anything he'd said. No excuses this time. No clever comebacks. Just dead air. Which meant the truth hit home even if he didn't want to admit it. Take care, Dylan, I said, my voice cool and distant. You're going to need it. And before he could say anything else, I ended the call. The rest of the night was calm. I finished my drink, put something on the TV, and didn't give a second thought to what was happening back at that restaurant. Later that evening, one last text came in, this time from Mom. Ethan, please. If you're still hurt, we'll try to make things right. Just come back and take care of the check. I didn't respond. Because this time, they were going to handle it on their own. And the next day, word got around. Turns out they couldn't pay the bill. They had to start calling their friends, begging for help. They even applied for a loan just to cover part of it. But the worst part? The restaurant manager apparently confronted them. Told them flat out they were pretending to be a close family. When all they really did was throw one guy under the bus over and over just to avoid being responsible. It was humiliating. They'd finally been seen for what they were. And me? I didn't feel a damn thing. No guilt. No second thoughts. Because the best part wasn't watching them panic. It wasn't even the satisfaction of walking away. The best part was taking back control. Setting a boundary. And holding it. That moment? It was worth more than that entire overpriced meal. I wasn't their safety net anymore. And after everything I'd been through, I finally understood something that took me way too long to learn. Sometimes, the most honest way to love your family is to stop saving them, especially when they refuse to change, even if it means standing back and letting them fall. I'd done my part. Now it was their turn to face the consequences.